Hi guys, and welcome to DeFi Summit's Scalability and Usability of Layer 2 in DeFi. Today I have two special guests on stage with me. First is going to be Hamzah Khan, which leads DeFi at Polygon. First portrayed into crypto back in 2017, but devolved into DeFi late 2020. Polygon is an Ethereum scaling solution, and Hamzah is leading the DeFi for All campaign to bring the next 1 million users of DeFi to scalability with the low gas platform. Welcome. I'd also like to welcome on stage Will as well. So Will is the co-founder and council member of Mantra DAO, a multi-chain DeFi ecosystem and DAO that launched in August 2020 with a deep knowledge and experience in both the crypto and tokenized security space. Will has worked on both sides of centralized and decentralized blockchain-based finance, with the aim of bringing the two together through the scalability and multi-chain asset platform. Welcome. Just to kind of like get a brief introduction of everyone. I want to kind of like, we're going to be asking some questions about like different topics on here, but before the viewers like really dive into it, Will, would you be able to kind of like give us a little bit about what you're doing at Mantra DAO?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. So, as you mentioned, co-founder of Mantra DAO, which is a DeFi DAO and DeFi ecosystem, originally built on Ethereum, but now, building on a number of different layer 2s and blockchains that we'll go into, I'm sure, a bit more as we get into the panel. A lot of my main focus now, of course, as a, fairly new company, wear a lot of different hats, but I focus a lot on our UI UX, our marketing, and our business development as we've continuously grown and have been growing through a lot of our different services that I'm excited to share with you as we get a bit deeper in.
Excellent. And also, Hamzah, would you be able to kind of like explain a little bit about what you do at Polygon and what Polygon is, just in case they don't know?
Yeah, sure. So Polygon is a Ethereum scaling solution. What we do is Polygon is a separate blockchain, but in a sense that we try to scale Ethereum. Currently, Ethereum has some issues, to say the least, like gas fees, throughput. A lot of Web3 applications cannot be built on Ethereum without selling your kidney or something. But yeah, like Polygon essentially allows small traders, small Web3 applications, building that Web2 experience on a Web3 platform, which is a blockchain, which is the Polygon blockchain. So basically, yeah, and I take care specifically the DeFi side of things. So starting off with the Aave thing, and then the Curve, Sushi, and all of these big blue chips that also will be coming soon. We're trying to be so Polygon essentially, if you look at Polygon, is a aggregator, is a scaling solution aggregator. So we have Plasma, we have POS. We are also building out our data availability chain, which is a very important thing for rollups, which will be the future for scaling. And we want to be that center of the universe for anything scaling. And that is what Polygon is, and we are trying to be that like DeFi. What our team is trying to be is like to be an architect in this space of where everyone is not able to understand how applications will look like in the future. We are trying to provide these solutions and help the DeFi community understand. Okay, there can be bridges in between these things and a lot of these things architecturally and things. So yeah, the DeFi team looks into these things.
Excellent. And I kind of like seen like Polygon's recent growth now. With the recent growth of users expanding to like other layers and blockchains to kind of like get away from gas fees, like how has this impacted Polygon?
I think people have gone away from Ethereum in a sense. So the first exodus, so to say, was BSC. But now Polygon is doing more transactions. I think 20% more transactions than BSC. And trust me when I say this, that things have not even started. Like we are 30% in that phase. There are still a lot of room to grow. I mean, there's still a lot of things not yet on Polygon, to be honest. Like in the DeFi side, there are still a lot of things. We have this long sheet which has to the Legos of every DeFi system that has to exist, and we like to partner with these projects, understand what they want to do, and do not promote the the forking, cloning culture that has been on some of the chains. We want to partner and understand what exactly makes that product well, because it's all about the community. It's not about TVL and not about numbers and these things. It's all about community, and it's that how people feel about Polygon on Twitter, Discord, that positive feeling, and how and of course the numbers are a derivative, are a byproduct of these things. I think that is our goal, has been the goal, and I think going ahead it will be very important. What will differentiate Polygon with a lot of other things.
Yeah, that's kind of where a lot of the side of with MantraDAO, since we are kind of one of these DeFi DAOs, that our big thing is we have a big community that ultimately we need to listen to what they want and kind of where the market's moving. And I mean, that's what Polygon's done an amazing job as, with Ethereum gas prices and no one wanting to actually interact on things like that, or like you said, selling a kidney to to make one transaction. And that's ultimately what's driven us to work closely with Polygon and ultimately add things like staking, money markets, and Launchpad onto their solution.
Yes.
Excellent.
But definitely still a long ways to go.
Oh yes.
It's just the top of the iceberg per se.
Yeah, it's just the kind of like the tip of it. I think that was it MantraDAO was originally focusing on building on Polkadot, right? But like, is it expanding now to like Binance Smart Chain and Polygon? Like, what made you guys decide to become like a multi-chain community?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So when we launched of August last year, we were definitely kind of put in and focusing on being a Polkadot project. But of course, at that time we're still waiting for Polkadot to finalize and go to mainnet. So it was the kind of thing that, we just did a token sale and launched our token. So we wanted to actually go and have something that our community could go use. So originally we were like, all right, so we'll start with Ethereum, because realistically you can't forget about Ethereum. It's still where, most things live. So we started building, our staking and then our ZenTrust money markets on Ethereum. But then of course, as gas prices went crazy, we always listened to kind of what our community was wanting and, how we can kind of find solutions for them, because ultimately Ethereum wasn't that. It was easy and enough so that we could build on it quickly and launch these products. But ultimately, we had to listen to what the community wanted. And that's ultimately what kind of made us start with this kind of multi-chain aspect, because realistically, as a DeFi ecosystem, we can't just look at one community and one ecosystem in terms of what blockchain or L2 we're interacting with. We want to be able to work with and kind of interact and have a community that overlaps with everyone out there to make it as seamless as possible. So after Ethereum, then we started building on you're right, BSC up on Binance Chain. We launched our some staking pools, and then we launched Zendit, which is our launchpad on BSC. And then in the background, we've been working on a number of other blockchains, including Polygon. So Polygon, we're really excited. We'll actually be launching our first staking pools on Polygon, I believe, next week. And then we'll be launching the first of our Zendit launchpad offerings in about 2 weeks' time on Polygon, which again is it's what our community's been asking for. And as we are working with more and more projects that are doing their IDOs, more and more of them are moving away from having it based on Ethereum and instead moving on to Polygon.
Yeah, just to add one thing over here. Sorry, just to add one thing over here. I think Polygon. I'm not sure if people are completely aware, but Polygon itself, is anchored by Ethereum in a sense. So if you look at the architecture, we are not a so-called Ethereum killer or something at all. Architecturally, if you look like if Ethereum goes down, for God forbid, Polygon goes down. If anything happens to Ethereum, Polygon, because not culturally, but it's just the architecture that we checkpoint all of the hashes, we combine the hashes, we put it to Ethereum. So yeah, it's not like Polygon. It's not like Polygon is not in the race with BSC or Solana or Polkadot per se, but it's more of these layer 2 scaling solution. I think that's where Polygon enters. Yeah, just to clarify there.
Yeah, because for Ethereum, like having it really congested in one chain. I think like Vitalik even said it out. It's like basically having another layer to where we do, most of our things, and keeping the main layer as like the security layer, which is where what Matic was doing with like checking their it's like anchoring some of the checkpoints to the transaction blocks. But that kind of leads me into another thing as well. It's like a lot of users have been hearing about, I would say, Polygon's SDK. Like, can you explain a little bit more about like what it is and like how it would help the scalability of Polygon even further?
Yeah, I think SDK is a very important step in this multi-chain Polygon, multi-chain Ethereum world, I would say. People are, what we have seen is a lot of projects like Will just mentioned. I think they're going to other chains because of gas issues, because of throughput, because there are a lot of, to be honest, like DeFi is a little, I don't know, like we'll think of it as a bubble sort of a thing, like not bubble, but as a closed community that, we look only in DeFi. But I think there are on Polygon, if you look, right, so some of the biggest dApps, leave Aave and these things, but still some of the biggest dApps are SportX, which is a sports betting market, does huge amount of volume every day, especially with the UEFA coming in. I think they're going to shoot up a lot. Then similarly with Polymarket, when Polymarket was the biggest thing, even more than Uniswap, it generated more fees when the US elections were happening. And for these, so I'll tell you these because these are the applications that interact directly with millions of users, not DeFi, at least at this stage. Now for these applications to scale to a level of Twitter or Reddit, to become them, or if someone is building their next Twitter or BitCloud, for example, on Polygon, it becomes difficult for them to scale because they are sharing the same throughput, the same security as a DeFi application, which is about 3.6 thousand TPS, 4,000 TPS. They need more than that. They need 20,000, 100,000 probably, for them to scale. And for them, it's the ideal thing to build an SDK, to use the SDK to build a chain, to build a separate chain, either secured by Polygon validators or by their own validators. Depends on what they like. And then they truly scale to a Web 2 experience where, you can run bots over there, you can run whatever you want. Like, that it's there. It's bots are a part of the culture, whether you like it or not. But that's how you scale, and that SDK will become a very important part. And also, we are seeing many DeFi projects, building their own chain and build a market on top of like a layer 0 chain, which connects to all of these different franchisees, sort of thing, franchisees on different chains. And I think that SDK, a lot of teams are testing that. I think SDK will provide that modularity, going ahead very easily. And because it is EVM compatible, all of those things will run out of the box. Gas will, of course, be lower than what it is here because it's just, it's built differently. So I think that is a very green field that a lot of teams are exploring today. And of course, like optimistic rollups and ZK rollups will be a part of that SDK. Like a lot of research is happening on that in the team. So yeah.
Now you mentioned like kind of like I would say like a separate chain. Would that be like enabling, like, let's say for example, like private chains to where it's like used for like enterprise and everything like that as well?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Some Indian companies are testing on that for ticketing, accounting purposes, and all for the whole company. Those are like big chips.
Yeah, and then also like it anchors back to Ethereum either way. So if anything happens, it's always going to be backed up to Ethereum. I kind of want to switch over to Will really quickly because like as MatroDAOs continue to like launching, I would say multiple of its DeFi services on different layer 2 solutions. Like how are you ultimately choosing where to build, and is there a target number of places where you guys are going to build?
Yeah, for us, it's been one of these that again, over the past couple of years within the blockchain space, it's all about, the talks were interoperability and how these different chains and, like you were saying, Polygon being tied into, Ethereum. It's not something that, it's one or the other, the whole like Ethereum killer things, again, that's something that I don't necessarily think is ultimately the final solution. It's nice that we're finally being able to see that these chains aren't necessarily living in their kind of silos like they were, back in 2017, 2018, and ultimately all interacting with each other right now through bridges and through SDKs that, are making it easier for these coins and these projects to kind of work and live kind of amongst different chains. For us, it's been, looking and working with, very qualified and driven teams, similar to Polygon. And, one of the things that, for us when we first launched is we have a pretty robust validator node program. So we run validator nodes for, over a dozen different projects, including Polygon. I believe our, Matic node is one of the top 10 or top 8 with 150 million plus stake there, which is amazing. So it's working with these incredible teams. So for us, again, originally built on Ethereum, but now living on Polygon and BSC. We're in testnet right now also for Hecko and Solana. And then, of course, ultimately, it's been very exciting with some of the recent announcements with Kusama and Polkadot, with some of the parachain auctions coming up and with Kusama's going on. So ultimately, we started with the kind of voice and idea of being a Polkadot project, and that's never, stopped. Now we're just, finally getting to kind of closer to the moment of being able to do that. And I think realistically, kind of a bit farther down the line, we'll even look at launching a parachain ourselves. Of course, I think it's better for us to see how the first couple auctions go, since there's still a decent amount of question marks tied to how they're going to go and what the costs going to be. So that's why it's pretty exciting right now. But realistically for us, it's we'll continue expanding and working with different L2 teams and different blockchains in general, that we see that there's a strong community that our community wants to drive for, and ultimately how we can also help in terms of if we can help bring our staking solutions or our money market solutions or our launchpad to these other chains, then that's amazing. And if we can help to kind of grow the communities, and then also being able to add utility to their ecosystems and to the tokens that live there. So it's right now there's no necessarily target. It's just really exciting to see kind of the projects and the techs that are coming out on the L2 side, that we're ultimately able to then expand into our community and grow theirs as well.
Yeah, and I think how Hamzah was saying earlier, it was like not everything's fully built out yet on Polygon, and like terms of like DeFi applications. Like not even Ethereum has fully built out DeFi, decentralized finance products as well. So you're looking at the insurance markets, you're looking at the bonds markets, I would say like interest rate swaps markets, debt markets and everything like that. Like where decentralized finance in whole in all of the ecosystems in crypto is still a fraction of what it is to traditional. And it's at a really really early stage. And for me, it's like if we're able to bridge, I would say the fragmented liquidity between different blockchains, by scaling to having it to where we're having bridges and be able to usability on all sides, we're able to effectively even have it, I would say, more optimized for actual like mainstream usage, before like the institutions be able to come in and everything. So I kind of want to hear like what your thoughts are, I would say like within the next 5 years, and how we can I don't want to say 5 years, next 1 year, because crypto's already crazy enough.
Yeah, considering one week's like a month.
5 years? Even after 5 years?
I think we all have gray hair and many more wrinkles.
Yeah, market up, market down is just kind of, there's so much building within crypto that just I think 1 year would be like the best question to kind of ask you guys. So what do you guys think would happen in kind of like 1 year's time frame, and how would kind of like a lot of these blockchains be able to scale and help one another as well?
Will, you want to start off?
Sure. So again, I mean, it's hard to even think of a year. For us, we launched August of last year, so 10 months ago, and it's felt like way more than the amount of time, and launching things like crazy. But you're exactly right. I mean, it's really tip of iceberg in terms of kind of what actual financial products are currently in like the DeFi ecosystem. So in terms of that side, I think that as we have more kind of layer 2 solutions, and as we're able to build, things like what Polygon's building with their SDK that can kind of work more on the kind of private sector and larger business side too, is we'll start seeing, a lot more kind of in-depth and more advanced financial structures and financial services being brought onto blockchain, which again takes time. One of the things that we have in our roadmap is our Karma protocol, which is pretty much a credit scoring system. But again, it's a matter of taking a traditional credit scoring system that's been around for ages, but putting that in a pseudonymous and decentralized manner where, it's tied to someone's address and how they interact with, our platform and other platforms, and then ultimately being able to build up a credit score to allow for under collateralized loans and things like this. So it's, these kind of things take a good amount of time, but ultimately I think that as the whole space has gotten a lot of publicity, and we have, a lot more built out tech that allows for, a lot more scalable solutions to be actually built on top of them. We're starting to see a migration in terms of, some really, really bright minds from the traditional financial world moving over, because they ultimately see that, this isn't just the fad that people talked about in 2017, 2018, and it having, serious potential with how to reach people in all corners of the world. So, I think that we're going to see, again, with a lot of these L2 solutions, it going more and more into the private sector, and ultimately, these DeFi platforms, like ourselves, also starting to offer a lot more advanced financial instruments and services outside of just the the stakings and money market and over collateralization that we already have in place. And on top of that, I think with regulation also building out will kind of be a big thing too, and something that we'll actually be announcing within the next couple of weeks. And I think actually we'll do a demo with DeFi Summit for a new project that we're working on, which is a joint venture with a licensed broker deal in the US that again will be offering tokenized.
I know.
Yeah. So like something like that's really, really exciting, because again, now it's starting to go a bit more traditional, but with the decentralization aspect of it. So you don't have, things like Robinhood where they're, very centralized in selling their books to Citadel or things like this. So, I think there's a long way for DeFi to go, but we're finally building up all the tools right now. And especially with kind of all eyes around the world coming into the space and seeing that there's, really big potential for how to bring these services and how to actually capture, consumers everywhere in the world. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting year.
Yeah, I think JP had mentioned this tokenized stocks thing to me. I remember that. Mm-hmm. So that just to add there, will that be on Polygon or no?
So that's one of the things. We spent about 2 years with the other company. This is one that JP and I were a part of before, getting a license with the SEC and FINRA to do private placements for tokenized securities. So it's something that it took 2 years of kind of going back and forth with, again, these regulators that, what is blockchain and, Ethereum. So we've got them to understand Ethereum. And I think, one of the next ones that we're talking with them about is Polygon. So, a lot more interesting, conversations to have. And again, it's about just, making people aware and understanding all these different solutions that are out there, and, just getting enough material that they can wrap their heads around it. But again, it does take time, especially as you get, more into the kind of the technical details of how things work. But definitely something in the pipeline.
Definitely, I think I totally agree with pretty much most of the points. I think all of the points Will said. I think first, I think would be under collateralized loans will be very important. Either you do it with off-chain data. I think some of the teams are building on Polygon that are building the bringing the off-chain bank APIs data, and on chain and via ZK proofs, they are doing it anonymously, but providing that credit worthiness, bring that off-chain credit worthiness data on chain, and building a money market on top of that. That is a very thing I agree, one of the interesting tools, and also like credit scoring. Somehow you have to bring the off-chain data, and whoever whoever builds that, I think, will be in a good position to either plug into these big money markets like Aave or Compound, or build one themselves. That will, I think, be important. But on a blockchain level, I think layer 2s are very, very, very huge play going ahead, especially in the case of Ethereum, because there is so much activity. Like just to give a metric, I think Aave on Polygon has, I think, 10-15% more users than on L1, and it does 120% more revenue for the main L1. The Polygon market does 120% more revenue than L1, and it goes all back to the treasury. So it's not like sucking the liquidity or being a vampire on L1, but it's allowing DeFi for all. The whole point was to build DeFi for all, $100, $200, $1,000, and put them there and understand how it works, understand what that means, what that permissionless thing means. I think that a lot of layer 2, I think BSC proved that perfectly. Like there's no doubt about that. Like it was a very bull case for DeFi. Either way you look at it, and we as layer 2 scaling solutions have keep that in mind. And there's a lot of room and intercommunication with other layer 2. So there are good projects like Connects Network. There is Hop protocol they are building permissionless bridges, fast exit bridges across layer 2s, across layer 1s. So XDAI, BSC, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, all these things are happening, and these will be a major role also for centralized exchanges to exit via these bridges. That will be very, very important, I think, because centralized exchanges, if you bring liquidity from centralized exchanges direct to a layer 2, it will be huge. Like Polygon has 3 big exchanges now. We have OKCoin, we have OKEX, we have MXC, and Ascendex, Bitmax, which is already live now. So going ahead, we'll have some big ones also adding up. I think that will truly, bring that off-chain centralized exchange data to on-chain data, where again, like a lot of these derivative products, I agree, like a derivative product, not even a fraction of it has been built. And major reason, I think, although it may have been built, but people have not used them because they are so gas intensive on L1. Like I remember buying when I was trying out Opine or Hedgic on L1 back in January. I remember it was $600 just to buy that. I don't know, it was some bug or it was something. It was so gas intensive. I think it was the peak hours then. It was so expensive. So once these projects come on L2, Opine, Hedgic, some are building like Siren and Pods. These are big, like good option protocols on Polygon. And these, when you build these, you go long spot, you hedge via your options. This is something where big traders, not the degens, they don't care about these things, but actually the little sophisticated ones, I think they will look into this, and I think it will be interesting to watch how it works out in a low gas environment, at least.
Yeah, I remember like Gwei, like during one of the moments, it was like 1,000+, and then doing it, even a simple swap on Uniswap was like, I think it was like $300-$400. Like it's not the network's fault. It's because of the demand of the network. So it's not like high gas fees is a thing of but it's not I would say like a bad thing. It's just making sure that the network is still secure by having usage. But at the same time, it's like for the average user, it's like, hey, I don't want to deposit $50 into a pool will pay 400. Like you're already at a loss times 8. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think scaling solutions are needed, and whether it's it's going to be bridging from exchanges, centralized exchanges opening up more for, I would say, like directly to layer 2 would really bring in a lot more liquidity, especially having, like, let's say Binance, who will be having some of the big players start opening up. Those will kind of be already a big on ramp into like even further adoption. Like you look at like Aave on layer 2. Aave has around like $7 billion locked up in TVL, and their mainnet has around like 12 billion. But the only thing is like their Polygon solution only came out like a month ago. So you can kind of like see how much growth it is, really, really expanding for. And also to kind of like finish everything off as well, it's like, what would your thoughts be to kind of, I would say, let the audience know of, where to find you guys, and also like, anything that you kind of want to give out to the audience as well that are listening. Let's go ahead and start with Will.
Yeah, sure. I think, at least for us, we're a very community focused. We're a decentralized autonomous organization. So everything we do is with feedback and with, kind of back and forth with the people that actually interact with the platform. So, you can find myself and our other co-founders in our Telegram groups. That's kind of the main spot. And, of course, follow us on Twitter, things like this. But, happy to answer any questions. We did just also launch as a plug, a YouTube channel, or kind of a YouTube weekly series, just kind of giving some insights into, what it's like behind the scenes of a DeFi company. So, for those kind of interested to see what, what kind of goes on in terms of how we launch different Zendit launch pads, or, how we bring different projects onto the staking platform, a bit of insight there. Because again, nothing's changed in the past couple of years in terms of we still need mass education for, how everything operates and how things work. And, of course, it's a work in progress, but, just don't be afraid to come into, some of the groups, ask questions. There are always moderators and people around to help, because ultimately, this is the goal of DeFi. And yeah, so look forward to seeing, as many people there as possible, and hopefully taking a look at our website and our app and seeing some of the services that we offer, on Ethereum and BSC and Polygon, and soon to be Hecko and Solana and a couple others.
Excellent. Hamzah?
From my side, I think, like Twitter would be a good place to start. I think my DMs are open, so any questions. I think Polygon Twitter is pretty active. So community Twitter as well as Polygon official Twitter, they're pretty active. A lot of activities happening there, education content happening there. We also, like, small plugin, we also have a Polygon TV channel that has come up with some of like interviews with some of the founders. Like Furo Combo was there recently, SushiSwap was there. A lot of, I think 0x is coming, I think later this week. So all of these things will be happening with, and I think definitely would love to have Will, JP from the MantraDAO team sometime there to, educate the Polygon community about, how things are happening on their end. I think, like Discord is good, Telegram is good, Twitter is the best. I think just follow us and and I would say just take $100 and start playing in the DeFi ecosystem of Polygon. That's the best way you can educate yourself. Nothing more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like when DeFi came out, I gave myself $100 to play around with it. And that's how you really learn, right? It's like you learn by doing. And once again, thank you guys so much for being on this panel today, and for really providing your insights. And also for the listeners as well, make sure that you follow everyone on social. And also hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of the summit as well. All right. Thank you guys.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye.
See ya.